Now, with just 1 day to go for the scheduled end of the 21-day nationwide lockdown, the Prime Minister is likely to make an official announcement with this regard.
He's low. Tractor shields. He's about to die. Kill him.
No contact delivery. Blue dot. Hey Vishnu, I think there's somebody at the door. Can you go and get that, yeah, please?
He's low. Tractor shields.
Hey Vishnu!
Right.
Vishnu!
No shields. Kill him. He has no shields.
Yay! I know what this is. Let me go and get a gloves. Yes.
Vishnu,
Let me.
why is your
Yes.
dad screaming?
Yeah, I think my father got him.
Vishnu! These kids, they don't keep their cycles clean. Hey Vishnu, I got something very interesting here. Will you help me to do a video with this?
Okay, but I want a shout out on Instagram.
Why?
I want followers like you.
Okay, get ready. Okay, Vishnu, can you clear this table, please? Yeah, quickly. Okay, this computer to that sofa. Nice, and spread a newspaper here. Quickly. I'm very excited. I want to know what is inside. Okay, thank you. And yes, I need a knife. Okay. This is not a knife, this is a scraper.
This is all I got.
Yes. I thought as much. The X-T4. Wonderful. Let me keep this carefully down. And here it is. I think I need to change. I'll come back and let's open it and talk more about it. Stay tuned. I want to get quickly changed and come back. Yes, I need this. Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to Pixel Village and I am Radha Krishnan. Well, this probably will be one of the last reviews of X-T4 in the YouTube world because X-T4 was launched a couple of months back worldwide, and this is not how it's supposed to be happening at Pixel Village. We were supposed to be in the middle of action in Japan during the launch, but thanks to COVID, we couldn't be there, and we are here 2 months, probably slightly more than 2 months after the launch, trying to do a review video from my home dining table. Anyway, well, let's not worry about it. Let's quickly get into the action. Okay, let me see if my magic still works. All right. Okay, let me stand by. I think it worked. All right, it still works. Even if it's home, the magic worked. All right, so the all-new X-T4. Now since I have used the X-T3 extensively, I can immediately feel the difference. Well, I'm not going detail into it because you already know it. But the first very noticeable difference is this improved grip and a slight bulk that has come in. It is purely because of the IBIS. I don't mind, but who said the camera needs to be compact and small? Well, look at the way some of the mirrorless cameras are going. For me, the size of a camera is not exactly a problem. I think I will go for the design, I'll go for the function. And X-T3 was one of my favorite camera. I think X-T3 is one of, I think it'll go down in the history of camera as one of the best cameras ever made. And this camera is, let's see whether it is actually going to give an X-T3 a run for its money. All right, fine, let's go straight into the look, or rather the build of the camera. Definitely very well built. The most apparent changes, like I said, is the improved grip and of course, the fully articulated screen. The jury's out on the appropriateness of a fully articulated screen of this size. I'm not really getting into it, but you know, that was probably one thing that the users asked in the X-T3. They thought a fully articulated screen was missing. They thought, you know, it would have added the flexibility or usability of the X-T3. Now you have it in X-T4. Now you have a complaint saying that it kind of really brought down the seriousness of the camera. Well, you can't have it all, right? So I am fine. I think a camera of this nature with such amazing video capability, why not give that vlogger the amazing equipment in his hand, right? He can travel, he can shoot whatever he wants, he can shoot stills and video with amazing, quality. Why not leave the vlogger alone? So I suppose that must have crossed the mind of the designer, hence you have it this. The next big improvement is the Q button, which is a little more flushed to the body, so you don't accidentally move the Q button, so you don't change the modes very easily. Now you have a dedicated still and movie button in this camera. Because it's an amazing still and a movie camera, I think this will be immensely beneficial to the user these days. I mean, in fact, post-COVID, I see a lot of still photographers getting into video also very seriously as an offering. So, you know, you become a one-man army, you go in, you shoot stills, you also shoot videos, in which case you don't have to really spend too much time, diving deep into the menu, trying to readjust everything and all that. So you have this quick access available here when you want to toggle between still and the movie mode. They have retained the 4-button toggle one, which I like it. I had a problem when they had taken it away in the 100V, and I really wanted it to come back in the next X100. You know, if there's a next version, I would like it to come back in that mode. I missed it in that. So here, fortunately, they have retained it, so I like it. What else? Well, I wish the exposure compensation button had a lock. Everything is in place, your familiar design, slightly bigger in size, a tad heavier, you won't really notice. It probably due to the IBIS and the most important thing, an improved battery. This time the battery actually will give you way better performance in comparison to the one which they had in the X-T3. So this is something which you will like. One thing I personally don't really like was that they did not provide any battery charger in the box. This is what you have. You have a USB cable and you have a charger using which you can use the battery in the body itself. So that's something which you will, but you know, if you have multiple batteries, how will you charge? So they have a bundle. Like I said, I'll talk about it later. And the next change is that they have taken away the headphone jack. The headphone jack is now built in along with the USB 3 outlet. So they've given you a USB 3 adapter to a 3.5 mm headphone jack. Of course, the mic is still there, and the remote control connection is shifted from the right side to the left side. Why did they do that? I think that's because they wanted to reposition the memory card slots. Instead of side by side earlier in the X-T3, if you remember, it was side by side. It was causing a little bit of an issue, not a major one though, to people who's got slightly bigger thumb or fingers. So now it is top and bottom, so it's very, very clearly laid out. So I like this design in comparison to the one in the X-T3. So overall, in the design and feature department, I think there is an improvement, a positive change that has happened in the X-T4. Now let's get into the big ticket improvement vis-a-vis the X-T3. Like I said, X-T3 is there, but by the way, they are not discontinuing the X-T3. They're going to continue the X-T3 range happening. Probably will drop the price down a little bit, and that actually makes the X-T3 great value. Now, it already was great value. It's going to make it even more attractive to many, and the X-T4, of course, has taken that space. When you look at the big ticket improvement, like I said, the biggest one is the IBIS. Okay, so IBIS is, as you know, is in body image stabilization. Now, because they have adopted a magnetic technique to do that image stabilization thing, they have managed to keep the size of that whole unit much smaller than the traditional mechanical ones. Now that IBIS, along with the optical image stabilized lenses, give you an advantage of about 6.5 stops, right? Which is really big. With 6.5 stops advantage, if you still take shaky images, I think you should start looking for another profession. Just joking. All right. Without the OIS, optical image stabilized lenses, it works perfectly, but it'll give you about 5+ stops of advantage. We tested the IBIS in a very low light condition with Vishnu holding a textbook, and I shot it with a 56mm non-OIS lens, and I've managed to get pretty good results. And it also works in your video mode. The next big ticket improvement is in the frame speed. Now, this camera has 15 frames with the mechanical shutter, and hold your breath, 30 frames in electronic shutter. Well, of course, it also gives you a maximum of 1/8,000th of a second using the mechanical shutter, and hold your breath again, 1/32,000th of a second, which is common in fact, a lot of Fuji cameras with electronic shutter. Only thing that you need to be careful about the fact that you need to worry about this phenomena called rolling shutter when you use the camera in electronic shutter mode and in very high speeds. Because of the IBIS, the camera has also become extremely silent. Hey Vishnu, can you pass one lens to me? Yeah, okay. Hey, thank you. All right, let me put this on. Okay, and I am using a non-stabilized lens. It's an 85mm Fuji lens, and I have now on high-speed mode. Let's listen to the shutter. It's extremely silent. In fact, because I have used the X-T3, I can actually tell you that it's also very soft too. While 15 frames a second is one, but to take the full advantage of the 15 frames per second speed, you must use a really fast SD card, a memory card inside this. Otherwise, of course, the card will slow you down. It will also depend on the thing that you're focusing. One thing I must tell you that I'm not greatly impressed by the buffer of this camera. It runs out of breath pretty fast. So though this is designed and purpose-built for action photography, bird photography, etc., it runs out of breath, okay? But you can activate, there is something called pre-shots in the menu. So if you activate the pre-shots, even at the half-pressed mode of your camera, the camera start taking pictures in advance. So you don't really miss the start, but it's probably towards the end, the camera start slowing down, and then you have to wait till the buffer is cleared to start shooting all over again. So that is something which I would like to see an improvement. I don't know if that can be an improvement brought about by a firmware change, but nevertheless, I feel the buffer is something which I wish was better in this camera. And of course, it also has an improved focusing mechanism. It's got 425 face detection points. Coupled with its contrast-based focusing mechanism, it kind of gives you beautiful focusing, especially while tracking focus, the face detection, the eye autofocus, all works very well. The FujiFilm X-T4 can shoot 4K 10-bit internally. Now, when you record internally, the difference is that you get only 420, and if you tap a clean HDMI out through the HDMI port to an external recorder, you get 422 10-bit. That's an amazing, option. The video that we are currently shooting is an X-T3. I've shot tons of footages, tons of are on YouTube videos on X-T3 using internal recording. We have had not any problems, provided you shoot, professionally, you shoot carefully. Here you have given a 10-bit advantage, which actually, it is not 8 and 10, it's a 2-digit difference. It's not. It's actually 4 times more data, right? So you have so much more information to work with. So you must remember that. And if you're shooting full HD, well, you can get 120 FPS and also an amazing 240 FPS. Now, 240 FPS is mind-blowingly smooth. Coupled with the digital image stabilization, well, you can do smooth shots. The B-rolls can be silky smooth. Of course, your favorite F-Log is available in the X-T4, but with an added feature. You have something called the F-Log View Assist, using which you can preview your footage in real color. Of course, the camera records the F-Log and you get to see it in real colors. Well, what else? What is left is now You already know most of these features. I mean, I just had to mention it, so I mentioned it. But the real test is putting the camera through its paces. And we also tested the low light, high ISO performance of the X-T4. What you see in the video is not exactly the light that was available there. It's really low. And we shot images from 160 ISO up to 12,800 ISO. And the camera really held it very well. And what you see here is the 100% enlargement. Another great feature this camera has is the HDR RAW capability. We shot some extremely contrasty situations, and using the RAW, we managed to extract great highlight and shadow details. So, what do you think of the X-T4, the stills and the video that we just showed to you? Well, I personally think that the improvements have made this camera one of the most desirable crop sensor camera, probably the finest crop sensor camera currently available to buy in the market. Why, I would even say that this camera can really give some of the, DSLRs in this similar price range a run for its money because of some of the features that is packed into this X-T4. So, who's this meant for? I think the wedding photographer is going to definitely like it, because the low light performance and the stability due to the IBIS has really taken this couple of notches up in compared to the X-T3. And you can take a lot of low light images, especially during weddings, using this camera. It definitely very good for the videographer. At that price point, the video features that the X-T4 is offering is unrivaled. So I see lots of videographers, filmmakers, indie filmmakers and short filmmakers and series producers are definitely going to like this. And with regard to the sports photographer and the wildlife photographer, the bird photographer, definitely they're going to like the 15 frames that is available, but the lack of good buffer can be a little bit of a bother. But I suppose it can be managed too, but looking at the price of this camera with a 200mm f2.8 and the teleconverter together give you an amazing value for money option for the wildlife and sports photographer. If you put it all together, it will actually be way cheaper than even the body of, let's say, a very fast, sports, purpose-built sports, action, wildlife kind of full frame camera. So all in all, I think I'll stick my neck out and say this is one of the finest all-rounder that you can buy now till an X-T5 comes out, or probably another camera from a competing brand comes out. Did I say too much? Bye for now.
What about my shout out?
You have to be a little more disciplined, okay? Go get that cycle cleaned. Then I'll give you the shout out.
I knew this would happen.
Cut now.